listening to the Top Music Guitar Podcast, the show for guitar teachers to learn about the craft of teaching great guitar lessons that students love. If you're looking to start or expand your studio and make guitar teaching your full-time dream job, you've come to the right place. Each week, you'll get to hear from some of the top guitar teachers from around the globe and get their best tips and experiences so you too can build your own dream studio. I'm your host, Michael, and I've founded one of the top guitar schools in Australia, written a best-selling curriculum, and I mentor guitar teachers. I'm excited to share my expertise with you and the wisdom of all the experts we interview. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Top Music Guitar Teaching Podcast. With me today, I've got two very good friends and very special guests, and that is Josh Gillis and Rich Constable from Guitar Boss. Guys, welcome to the Top Music Guitar Podcast.
It's an honor. Thanks for having us on.
Now, this podcast episode has been about 3 weeks in the making. We just keep on having mainly me drop off or postpone or not be able to make it to the time, but we're glad we finally made it before the end of the year. You guys will probably hear this in 2023. But it's a great wrap up to what was hopefully a really, really big bounce back in 2022 after 2 years of lockdown around most of the world and guitar businesses and teaching businesses coming to a stop. I was able to meet Richard and Josh through the six-figure program and trying to help everyone get their guitar teaching businesses ahead. So I obviously run the six-figure program, and Josh and Richard run the Guitar Boss program, which is not just a program, but a bit of software. So, Richard, why don't you tell us a little bit about your program?
So, Guitar Boss is essentially just like an all-in-one system for guitar teachers where you can just house your whole business in one place. And the main benefits for that is just helps you stay organized as you get busier and you get more leads in. You set up your ads via, wherever you set up your ads, Google and Facebook and whatever. You're getting direct messages. Suddenly, you've got a whole load of platforms that you're using. You might use LinkedIn as well. And suddenly, you're getting messages everywhere, emails, texts. And so Guitar Boss kind of houses everything in one place. And it's got a lot of powerful tools that really help you get to your leads as quickly as possible. And so the main benefit for that for guitar teachers is just, the quicker you get to your leads, the quicker they interact with your business, the quicker you react back, the more likely and the higher chance they're going to sign up as a student. And I think there was a stat recently. I think there's someone said 400% drop off. I think that's a bit ridiculous, but a huge drop off if you don't get to your lead within 5 minutes. And with all the automation and, the power of Guitar Boss, it means you get your lead pretty much instantly. You can even do a voicemail drop. So it kind of acts like calling them. So even if you're teaching, they'll get a voicemail drop and it means you get your lead as quickly as possible. And does a whole lot of other things, but I'm not going to go through every single feature. I'll be here for ages. But that's essentially what it's there. It's there to house your guitar school, and it's got a ton of great features. Even if you want to make a course, you can have a whole membership area. You can house your website there. It does it all.
Yeah, funnels and everything. If I had to simplify it into one sentence, it's kind of like, well, what problem are we really solving? I think Rich has talked to, at this point, hundreds of guitar teachers. And the main problem is they just really want to show up and just teach. They don't have to worry about all the back end stuff. They just want to show up and teach. So this automates a lot of the pain in the butt scheduling stuff and automated tests, text reminders and things like that. It just automates a lot of the stuff for you so you can just show up and teach. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I have seen this thing, and I'm sure if you're interested, because it's absolutely amazing, you can book a demo with Rich or Josh. We'll talk about where they can do that now. But I saw this thing and I was absolutely, frothing at it. I was like, oh, this is absolutely amazing. And the solution to so many problems. So what sort of prompted you to go out and create Guitar Boss?
Well, we both found that when we were, going about our day and we were having to try and post on social media, we were trying to get to our leads as quickly as possible. We just couldn't find anything that could do all these things in one place. It's like if you want to build a website, you need to be on one place. If you want a membership site, you've got to be in another place. If you want a website widget, you have to get another tool. And then if you want to build a funnel, then you have to, it just seemed to have all these things going on. And suddenly you've got about 50 places you have to be. And it just feels like very unnecessary. So we were just trying to find a way that we could house everything in one place, make it super, super simple. And yeah, we managed to put all of that together, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that when I looked at it. I'm like, yeah, I've got my CRM for this, I've got my booking system for this, and I've got my Kajabi for this. Like essentially have 5 different platforms for all the various things you need. And I was looking at yours going, oh, wow, it actually legitimately does have every single thing. So if I was the guitar teacher who was inclined to just be, man, I just want to get in the studio and teach and not have to worry about the business side of things, it really does have everything covered.
Yeah. And, if you've got a team, you could literally just have one teacher yourself and an admin person. You can just put them in as a team member. They don't have to see all the numbers if you don't want them to. And they can just look after your inbox. So if you get an email in and then someone sends a text and then someone sends you an Instagram DM and someone sends you a Facebook message and a LinkedIn message, they can all just, answer them all in one place. They won't need to get your login details for all your personal profiles and all that kind of stuff. And then if they need to post a post for you, they can do that across your social channels. So a lot of great features, but the main benefits are, connecting with your students as quickly as possible, connecting with your leads, trying to get them into your studio and teach the instrument you love so much.
Now, it is Guitar Boss, but is it just for guitar teachers? Can bass teachers use it as well? Would piano teachers be recommended to check it out? Only asking for the other top music listeners who might not necessarily teach guitar.
Yeah, I mean, it's powerful for any music instrument teacher out there. It's essentially just a business in a box software. So, anyone could use it. But we felt because we are guitar teachers, we've got things specific for guitar. So you just have to change out some pictures if you want some of our done for you funnels or websites, and change guitar to piano or singing or whatever.
Nice. And so you've mentioned the word funnel a couple of times. For the listeners who aren't quite into funnel marketing or online marketing, what is a funnel and why should they be using them?
So it just helps you drink, a lot of beer all in one go. If you if you're at university and so it's, people might have heard of this quite a bit, but essentially a lot of people have websites, and when you go to a website, you have lots of different options. You have drop-down menus, you have lots of places to go, lots of places to be, and it can be quite distracting for the user. But a funnel just essentially gives you one choice, one option. So it just funnels their attention into one place. And so you're always funneling them into one core offer, one core place. So if your website has a ton of different things on it, it's great for information purposes, and it could be good for general information. But if you want someone to make a direct response to your advertising, to your messaging and what you've got to offer, then it's great if you just have one single thing that they can do on your site. If it's just, do you want this great PDF, or do you want a demo of our lessons? Put your email address in here, and then they get to see your face, they get to see your style, they get to know you a bit, and then they get to know, like, and trust you a bit quicker than if they're just kind of browsing around your site.
I was going to hop in and give you an example that I thought of. It was one that was shared with me, and I thought this made a lot of sense. But y'all know, like, big sporting goods stores that have, outdoor equipment and things like that. Like here in the States, there's like Dick's Sporting Goods. You have like Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. I don't know if they have similar things like that where you guys live. But all right, the difference between a website and a funnel. A website is like you go to the door of one of these massive outlets and you walk in and there's millions of products. And you just want to go camping, but you have to pass every single item to get to the camping section. And then you're bombarded with hundreds of choices in camping. Well, what tent do I get? What sleeping bag? do I need a can of beef jerky or whatever? Like, so websites are like that. You just come and there's every option everywhere. You just have to figure it out. A funnel, on the other hand, it's like you come to the front door and there's like a chauffeur that walks you in and says, what do you want today? Oh, you want camping good? Like, follow me. They bypass all the crap and go right to the camping section. Then say, okay, this is the tent that I recommend for you. All right, here's the tent. Okay, here's a sleeping bag. You got a sleeping bag? Now here's a canteen of water, or here's some matches. All right, then you get all the stuff you need. And then you go to the checkout line, and just like a grocery store, you have like sticks of gum and candy. Or maybe they have like a can of like, one of those ready meals on the go, or maybe they have, maybe the matches are there, but like all these upsells and downsells are at the checkout line right before you check out to say, hey, do you need this? Hey, do you need this? But it's all pointed and directed at the sale of the main thing, basically. So, website, you kind of got to figure it out on your own sort of funnel. It's all leading to the direct sale, and you just kind of pick and choose what you want along the way.
And I would just add to that. It's not, people do say websites are dead. I would personally disagree. If you really want something, then you'll find it and you'll go and get it. But ultimately, if you just have one main thing that you're offering, then it's an easier decision, I think, for people. So.
Anyone who says websites are dead is selling you something that's not a website.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's once you become aware of funnels and funnel marketing and direct response marketing, it's like unplugging from the matrix and just seeing the world for real, or in a different lens for the first time, because it is absolutely everywhere. In terms of the funnel marketing, I would also encourage people to just think about, hey, what have you bought recently? And then go back and look at your ads history on Facebook and things like that. And you'll actually have some really, really good examples of funnels. But for anyone listening to this, if you're hearing this word for the first time, if you're not really sure about what it is, then I definitely recommend checking out a book by Russell Brunson, or anything by a guy called Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels, which he's sort of just taken this idea of a funnel, which he didn't invent. It's been around for probably as long as the internet's been born. As long as there's been internet, there's been marketers trying to take advantage of it. But Russell's book, I think it's called .com Secrets, is his first one. Definitely worth checking out. And they'll tell you everything there is to know about funnels. And the funny thing is, the book itself is like the the bait to get you into the funnel. And then once you've got that book, you're in. And then the rabbit hole goes down and down and down from there. But any advice on where other guitar teachers can start getting into funnels and marketing and getting a bit more business savvy than your average guitar teacher?
Yeah, there's a really interesting guy called Michael Gumley. He does some great training. His 6-figure guitar course is epic. So that's one place you could start. I've learned from so many different guys, to be honest. I mean, Russell is I just think it's a genius, sales genius. So it's always worth checking him out. Alex Harmozy, who was the other guy I was thinking of? Steve Larson. Yeah. So those guys, I would say, at the top of the food chain in that respect. And if you want some more old school stuff, Dan Kennedy, and there's who's the other guy? Anyway, there's lots of them. Basically, it's like a lifetime of studying. But yeah, Michael's got some great products, and we've got an organic marketing course that you can check out as well if you want to get some ideas from different funnel ideas and different marketing strategies that you can use on social media.
Yeah. Now, that course, is that part of Guitar Boss, or that's sort of like a little standalone course that you guys sell as well?
Yeah, I mean, we don't sell it at the moment. It's free. So essentially, the whole point of it is just we're building up with our students, if you like. So the people who come through, who want to learn what we do to get students organically, they can go ahead and jump in. And so we're using it, starting off free, mainly because we want feedback. We've put all the ideas that have worked for us over the past 5 years, but we also want feedback to see if it works for other people as well. And we also want, hand-raising questions so we can add more content to it. But eventually we'll sell it as a standalone course.
And where can our listeners find that? Because I'm sure as soon as you said it's a free course, a couple of ears pricked up there.
So yeah, you can just email us at hey@guitarboss.co. We don't have an official site for it at the moment, but we can send you the free offer. Or it's actually, if you, we've got a bit.ly link potentially. I can find it for you.
We'll put all the links with the this podcast, wherever you're listening, guys, whether that's Spotify or from the Top Music website. You'll have links to all the social media for Rich and Josh and everything they talk about today. So we'll get you that link. We can all tee that up for after the show.
Okay, great.
So what's 3 bits of advice you would give for guitar teachers who are either struggling with the business side of things or want to get more into marketing? Maybe we might get 1 or 2 ideas from each of you.
Go for it, Josh.
Business advice. So the question was some marketing or business advice for people that wanted to get started. Is that what you said?
Yeah, either that or mistakes you see that guitar teachers make on the business side of things. So what are they doing wrong generally, and how do they go about fixing it?
Typically, from what I've seen, because this is 100% me, like I try to be everything to everyone and do everything, and I try to strengthen my weaknesses. But a lot of what you hear, people like Gary Vaynerchuk or even I think Hormozy, the guy you're talking about, will even say, "Look, play to your strengths, not and outsource your weaknesses." I hate doing numbers and accounting and everything. I just hate it. Like I'm a sort of a numbers guy in the sense of like I do my family budget and all this stuff, but that does not excite me. So find the things that really excite you and grow on those things, because those are generally like the more income producing type things. If you're a creative like me, like I really enjoy, like I just had a newish student come in earlier before this podcast, and like that's my lane, man, getting someone acclimated to the world of guitar and in. But if I find someone or system like Guitar Boss stuff that can like bring in leads for me, then I'll just get to do my thing. I don't have to spend all my time like working on getting new people in here. Even though the strategy I do is more organic, like I haven't paid for an ad yet this year, knock on something. I mean, I may start next year because I do want to double where I'm at right now. But right now, this is what's working for me organically, So yeah, just play to your strengths and outsource your weaknesses. I think is a good tip to think about. So yeah, I'll ping pong back to Rich for another one there if you got another one.
Yeah. So there's something, Michael, you've spoken about before, and Hormozy speaks about it as well. But it's just focusing on the one thing. Is the one thing just calling the leads week in, week out, or hiring someone to call the leads? Or is it figuring out a funnel where people just automatically book in? And as long as you've got the right questions asked and you've, the right gates that people have to go through to actually get to your free demo class or whatever you offer, as long as you're focusing solely on that until you hit a certain, income level, then I think that is a big, big key. Because for myself, over the past 5 years, what I'll do is I'll generally get something up and running. It'll start ticking along by itself. And then I've got this kind of relaxed period. So I've done all this growth. And then suddenly I'm in a cushy little place. And so then you relax. And when I look past in this year, all my best months were when I really just focused on the right things. And then as soon as things went well, I started to relax. So sticking to the one thing, I think, is key.
Some solid advice there. I think at one point, I just saw this halfway through when you were talking. I used to have this little sound clip of the third Batman movie in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, where Bane's beating him up and he's like, "Pieces has cost you your strength. Victory has defeated you." And I always think of that whenever I'm getting complacent, is get to this point, but you got to ask yourself what comes next, so that you push and you drive and you have that next thing to work on. Because as soon as you go, "Oh yeah, this is kind of good, I'm in a cushy position," as soon as you have that attitude, you stop solving the problems, or you stop pushing, or you stop driving. And that's when a whole bunch of problems will just build up and then take you out in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I was amazing my kids today, because we're on holidays for a couple of weeks for Christmas, and they are just able to repeat themselves over and over and over and over again without any worry. So my daughter loves this song, and she won't stop singing the chorus, and it drives me nuts. but she knows it off by heart now because she just will repeat it again and again and again. And that's something I feel we might lose as adults because we get bored and we think, oh, there might be a bigger, better thing to do, or a more important thing, or a more interesting thing, instead of just doing the repetitive task.
Yeah, and that's something I know we've had a chat about when it comes to like Alex Hormozy. He often talks about how he just hated filling out these like payment processing forms, but that was just part of the parcel of having to run a business, is doing the accounting side of things and getting used to doing, yeah, this is boring, but if I do it, it's the means to the end. And that's something I'll tell my guitar students, and what you guys should be telling your guitar students is, and that's the listeners more broadly speaking there, is if you want to get good at guitar, essentially it's a mental game of just mastering boring, repetitive things over and over again. There's a finite number of repetitions that you need to execute in order to attain the muscle memory. So if you practice something 3 times and go, I'm done, and you need 100 repetitions, it's going to take you 30 days to do that. And assuming you don't give up before that, or it falls off the wagon in terms of what you're practicing. But if you do that 10 times in a single practice session, it's only going to take you 10 days, 10 practice sessions. If you do that 50 to 100 times, you're going to have it on the day, if not within a day or two of practicing. So same thing with your business. If you hate doing certain things, it's just a matter of going, well, I might not like this, but if I just make this part of my routine and I have the discipline to just get up and do it, then it makes a huge difference. And probably one of the secrets to my business growth was just gamifying the whole thing. Just saying, if I can make these 10 phone calls and I'm going to reward myself with this, or if I make these 10 phone calls and I know I get one of them, the flip side of every single call is going to be $5,000 by the end of the year, because that's what the average customer is worth to me in a single year is almost a $5,000 transaction. So for me, I've got a very good incentive to pick up the phone and call people. But if I can try and make it fun in some way, yeah, okay, if I do 10 calls in a row, then maybe I can play, I don't know, I don't really play games anymore, but yeah, I'll play 10 minutes of Breath of the Wild. That's the last game I played was what came out 4 years ago. Those kind of things. But if you can gamify the approach, it makes a big difference. But going back to what Josh says, if you just really don't like the accounting, just put up with it short term to get the money coming in, and then delegate it to someone else. And believe it or not, there's these people that are really fascinated by numbers and they love dealing with them, and they're called accountants. They can make your life a lot easier if you have a good one. Now, I did want to steer this in a slightly different direction because, Josh, I've seen you talking about blockchain and NFTs and often mentioning how they can be helpful or a new avenue worth exploring for music teachers. And I know maybe in a separate call, we'll get you to do the whole presentation that you've got, because I think we're quite somewhat limited by using the platform we do for podcasting. But for those guitar teachers who've wondered about NFTs or crypto or blockchain, can you give us the too long didn't read rundown of what that is?
Yeah. I'll try to keep it super broad and really try to focus in on, blockchain's cool, but how does it help me? So it kind of goes back to, if you've ever heard of people throw around the term Web3, like we're in the Web3 phase of things. Have you guys heard of that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. So Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. So if I had to simplify that, Web 1 was basically read the text on the screen and click links to go other places, kind of like Wikipedia. That was like your basic early internet days. That's all it was. Like CERN's World Wide Web was an example. Well, Web 2 comes along. And by the way, that's like, or I'll get to that. Anyway, so Web 2 comes along and then like you can actually add to it. You just don't read it. You don't click links to other people's content. You can actually contribute, right? So you contribute through social media. So Twitter, Facebook, all those things started popping up in the early-ish 2000s, right? Mid 2000s. And so that was Web 2. You can actually contribute and you can also post links, right? The Web 3, the kind of the new and improved thing is that, well, you can read it, you can write it, but you can also own it. Because if you think back to the Web 1, you just read someone else's stuff. They own the content. Web 2, social media, even though you produce the content, you don't really own it. It's on their platform. If Facebook shut down, Twitter shut down, you lose all your tweets, all your everything, all your pictures, unless you're backing them up yourself, Well, the difference now is that you can actually contribute and own it. So if you had to strip it all down and dumbify it to a few words, basically Web 1 is that they write it and they own it. Web 2 is that you write it and they own it. And Web3 is that you can write it and you can own it. And that's only made possible. You can only own it through what's called blockchain technology. So I'm not even going to begin to attempt to jump into all that, but basically blockchain technology is a way to verify that something is true through cryptographic stuff or crypto, right? Cryptographic messages and all this stuff. So basically any transaction that happens, a true or false type thing, is verified on a block, and every block that's made has a tail to it that attaches to the next one. And this string of information, if you will, is all open source, open ledger. Anyone can see transactions that happen, and that it cannot be reproduced. It cannot be copied. It cannot be really hacked. Little star asterisk on that can't be hacked. There's certain ways that things can happen, but majority of it cannot. And so anyway, when they talk about, when you hear the word tokens thrown around, basically token or tokenizing things is a way to get on a particular blockchain. So blockchain is the way of verifying information, right? So a very popular blockchain is the Ethereum blockchain you've probably heard of, right? And so people are buying and selling NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And the native token to that is ETH. And right now ETH is trading for, I don't know, like $1,200 or $1,100 per coin at the time of this recording. But that is the currency you use to buy and sell things like NFTs or like other tokens that are created. So anything that is created on top of the ETH blockchain is called a token. And just like a token, I don't know if you guys ever grew up going to the arcade, but you go put your little coins in the slot, it spits out little tokens, these little arcade tokens, and you go play games with these tokens to get your little tickets. Then you take the tickets to the counter and you trade them in for whatever prize, So NFTs are basically tokens. They represent something and you can trade them for other things. And so NFTs it stands for non-fungible tokens. And, what's the difference between fungible and non-fungible? Well, fungible means that if I give you $1 and you gave me $1, assuming they were, United States dollar bills, the value is still a dollar, right? Non-fungible would be an example of, all right, well, I'm going to give you $1, but in return, you're going to be a dollar's worth of a speck of gold that's worth $1. All right. So they're two separate things that are the values the same, even though they're separate, basically. And so this is probably like getting really confusing really fast. But anyway, so when you hear about like Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example, things like that, these are tokens created on the Ethereum blockchain, and they used ETH to buy and sell these things. And but the key to any NFT these days is that it's not so much the artwork, because people get all caught up like, well, I could just take a picture of it on my phone and I got the artwork. And yes, you're 100% correct. You can just screenshot that and keep it in your picture files and admire the artwork. That's great. But the fact that that actual NFT is tied to a blockchain means it's immutable. It cannot be copied or reproduced, and that you can prove that is a digital copy of one thing. It's like a digital Mona Lisa type thing. It's a one-on-one. And if I wanted to get into a Bored Ape Yacht Club party with all these celebrities that have this, and I show up with a screenshot of a Bored Ape, they're just going to laugh at me and kick me out. But because if I do have an actual one that's tied to the blockchain, they can verify that acts as like a ticket into this event or community or whatever, then you have access, right? So that's kind of the gist on NFTs. But yeah, I'll stop there, man. You guys jump in. Any questions or anything on that? I'll shut up for a second.
No, I was just going to say, like, for guitar teachers, you could say, okay, if you buy this NFT, then you get, I don't know, 6 months of lessons or 1 year of lessons, or you get a whole bunch of stuff. You get to come to our yearly event 3 years in a row. You get this, you get that, and you buy it for this amount. And so you exchange the artwork, which is linked to the ETH network, but it's also linked to something that you're selling. And then people can also sell that on or exchange it for something else or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's it, man. The value lies in the utility of the NFT, not in the artwork. I mean, artwork, it can be valuable to you if you admire and appreciate it, and the value goes for whatever it trades for in the market. But the real value in NFT projects that are going to last are going to be what do they do, right? What do they do for me? And so, yeah, your example is exactly right. Like, say I wanted to make an NFT for, Melbourne Guitar Academy, right? I have this cool, like, blue looking guitar logo thing, and you own this NFT. Well, that gives you access to our online courses. It gives you access to the workshops that we do. It gives you access. That's your ticket into our show. That's your ticket into class, like to be able to come, that kind of thing. And you can verify it that they paid for that thing. It's almost like a digital Ticketmaster ticket barcode thing. That's kind of how it operates. And yeah, so you can use it for functions like that. And I'll get into another thing that I thought would be really cool for Michael here in a second. Were you going to add something else to that?
I was just going to ask. So you can essentially, the utility of it is potentially having it as a digital membership or a token of digital membership as one of the utilities. Why would you do it as an NFT as opposed to just selling a membership online or through any other means?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. So for one, that NFTs, you can set up what are called smart contracts in them. And if artists that create NFTs, especially on like Ethereum blockchain, things like that, they can actually tie royalties to them. So anytime that NFT is sold, then the artist could get a 5, 10, 15% kickback or whatever that thing sells for, is one example. Another two, they're cool. If you actually appreciate the artwork, it's better than a Ticketmaster. But thirdly, another idea would be, what's the best way to say it? Like, it's kind of like a gateway almost online. One thing, all right, Netflix. You guys are familiar with Netflix. You know how the way it is now, as long as you have someone's username and password, you can basically log in and watch movies, right? I'm sure there's ways that they're creating, and I've heard of ways that they're doing, using AI to help like figure out which accounts are being shared and which aren't and that kind of thing. But you can actually use NFTs as a way to protect your intellectual property. So I thought about Michael actually as an example of this. Like, so he's got, 900 videos on Guitar Ninjas plus maybe 1,000 by this point, a lot. You've got a lot of intellectual property, right? Well, who's to say someone doesn't share that somewhere else and all of a sudden they're logging in, having access to all your content? Well, NFT could actually be a gateway into that. So if you bought Michael's Guitar Ninjas NFT, for example, there's actually applications called dApps, like decentralized apps. And instead of having a username password login, you actually just connect your wallet, and your wallet proves that you have an NFT, and that gives you access to the videos. And so the thing is, they're not going to trade that NFT because that's their ticket in every time, right? And so if I gave my buddy the Guitar Ninjas NFT, I'm not going to do that because I need to log in the next day, and I don't know if he's going to give that back to me because there's only one, right? And so there's only one that's mine, if that makes sense. And so that's a way to protect intellectual property. So I guess that'd be a third way.
Yeah, very, very clever. I'm sure my brain's definitely ticking away at 100 miles per hour, and I'm sure a bunch of other guitar teachers listening to this are starting to get excited at all the possibilities and opportunities. So how does someone get into using these NFTs or making something for their school or their business, and how should they go about it?
It's a good question, man. You can create an NFT pretty easily, like less than 10 minutes. You can upload an image and things like that. So a lot of the projects nowadays, the ones that are going to last, because right now, as you know, like the whole market just sucks. Everything's down. Stocks are down. Crypto's down. And a lot of these NFTs projects have really slowed down. The only ones that have lasted right now are the ones that have genuine, good, actual functional utility behind them. And so, yeah, if you wanted to get started doing that, you could just go create your own project on OpenSea, for example. OpenSea.io, I believe. It's the biggest. It's like the eBay of buying and selling NFTs. So you can create a project on that if you want. Yeah, or just shoot us a message if you want to at hey@guitarboss.co, and I can give you some more resources and things like that. But that's one thing we actually want to continue to explore and do ourselves, is create something like that for like Guitar Boss, for example. And actually, and by the way, all this is like way ahead of its time right now, as far as there's not a true massive need in the marketplace, if that makes sense. So a lot of this discussion we're having right now with this stuff is stuff that's going to come down the pipe, in years to come. And it's not going to happen super soon. So there's kind of like ways to start chewing on and think about, okay, how do I protect my intellectual property down the road and things like that. So basically, the biggest thing you can do right now is do a lot of research. Do about 50 hours, they say, of research, read books. I've read NFT handbooks, metaverse handbooks. We hadn't even jumped into a lot of that stuff yet, but that's, I've put in a lot of research into it to kind of understand how it works. And I'm still learning and I don't know it all. I'm just trying to offer some basic, building blocks for people to try to start thinking about these things. And we probably will have to hop on another podcast where I can dive deep, because I got some slides and I've actually made some for Melbourne Guitar Academy specifically with some ideas that I had. So anyway.
Ooh, definitely intrigued. A thought just occurred to me as you were saying that. Obviously, now is the time where crypto's been, I'm speculating here based off of the little news I do pay attention to, but there's obviously been big crashes, crypto's coming down. My thoughts on that were just, obviously, if you're trying to create a monkey picture and sell it, it's the worst time to do that. But there's probably never really a bad time to do a cool project for your studio or your business. And again, if I was going to launch like a Guitar Ninjas Elite 10 and have 10 special tokens for 10 teachers who really want to do something special, it doesn't really matter where the market's at, assuming there isn't too big a fluctuation in the currency, or that you can just set it at a price which meaningfully translates to the value figure you want for that. So am I getting it right in that kind of thought? If I had like they put Ethereum in, right? So they've got to transfer their real money to Ethereum or some kind of token, whichever platform they're on. That'll give them a set value. And then the NFT can just be priced at whatever value you want. And if people want to buy in for it, they just need to chip in. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there. Like, it doesn't really matter what the Ethereum price is right now, as long as you're basing your project on the utility that it provides to the end user, then it doesn't. Yeah, price doesn't really matter. I mean, because you can actually set, if I equated the ETH to US dollars, I could say, okay, well, I know I want to charge about whatever, just name a price, like $200 US for this. Well, then you calculate, okay, how much ETH is that? Well, that's your ETH price for that particular transaction, right? And then, now maybe that goes down and you lose out on that, or maybe it doubles and you make more on that. I mean, it is super volatile in that sense. So, use caution. Don't take any of this as financial advice. Don't do anything I'm telling you at all. Like this is all just talk right now. Yeah. So, but that's how they do it. So I bought, Steve Larson as an example. We mentioned earlier, he has an NFT project called Capitalist Pig, and I bought the NFT because one of the utilities is that it gives you a done for you a DApp, a decentralized app. And I was like, great, that sounds like an awesome utility. I could use that and I could help guitar, students with that and, that kind of thing. And so, anyway, that was a project that launched, I think it was like around $200, and I think they're still selling them right now. The first 500 are for sale right now, or 250 or something. And I think they haven't quite met it yet, but whenever it hits that point, then the price is going to double basically. But it's all based on that, US dollar to whatever the ETH is at the time, that kind of thing. So
even the Donald got onto it in the last couple of days or two.
Yeah.
I saw he sold something like 5,000 in the first day or something.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. And if you actually, the commercials for him, I thought it was a joke. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So, but yeah, apparently he sold out. So he's not an idiot, because he's going to sell out and then he could double, triple, quadruple his money like in the next year and a half. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Like get in while the market's low, wait for the money to go back. He's a clever man. Love him or hate him. You can't deny he's a clever man. Yeah. That's very, very interesting. And again, so much utility of things to do there. In terms of last couple of little NFT crypto questions, and we can move back to some more guitar teaching topics. Is this something where it's hard to do for an offline audience? Because so if I've got my Melbourne Guitar Academy students, do I then require a whole bunch of people to get into crypto in order to take advantage of NFTs? Is this something where 5 years, 10 years down the track, it'll be much more mainstream and accepted. And we are kind of dealing with a niche of people right now?
It is. It's down the road. So I think if I had to frame the conversation we're having, it's like, what will my guitar studio look like in like 5 to 10 years? And so education is definitely a big thing where we're going to have to really bring people up to where we're at as far as the knowledge and the technology. Because right now the technology is way ahead of the law. And that is a dangerous thing in the sense of we don't even have regulation on crypto yet. Like they're working on it, so we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. So it is risky in that sense. And it's going to take time to educate people what the heck a NFT is and why do I even need one, So you have to meet a market need as well, and solve that need for them to actually use it. But if everyone's content with, email and password as the login or content with the Ticketmaster ticket right now, then, the need hasn't quite arisen to the masses yet, if that makes sense. And eventually things are going to go digital. I mean, they're talking about central CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Like eventually we're going to be trading digitally anyway. So it's going to happen at some point. And so we need to start thinking about that and how that's going to, right now, I'll take crypto for guitar lesson payment. I will, but no one's done it yet. But yeah, you got to start thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were considering getting rid of cash this year in the UK. But obviously you get a lot of old people who walk around with cash in their wallets, and they pay for everything in cash. So it's going to be hard to go to a cashless society. But ultimately, since everyone came off the gold standard in the 70s, then it was going to happen at some point.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was just about to do a disclaimer and say, hey, guys, I'm going to say something potentially conspiracy theoretic here in terms of, and you just said, yeah, they're kind of asking you, well, here in Australia, they're trying to sneak it through over the Christmas break. They've sort of put a parliamentary vote through on, do you want to go to cashless and this and that? So it seems like if you follow the global trends, everywhere is pushing for these digital currencies. Why for? There's a couple of benefits. There's also a couple of really, really dangerous, scary things, which it pays to be aware of. So if the idea of going completely digital currency controlled by the government scares you, then by all means, become aware of what you can do to sort of block that in your own sort of areas. If you're cool for it, then you got nothing to worry about because it's going to be inevitable, as you said. But definitely all the stuff you want to be ahead of the curve of. So if you can know what's going on and take advantage of that, it's really, really important stuff to know. But guys, just quickly, how we generally wrap these things up is ask our guests if you can impart one piece of wisdom for guitar teaching or business, whatever that happens to be. So if you want to give some teaching advice or some business advice, by all means, let's hear one little tidbit from each of you.
So for me, it would just be keep studying. Never kind of lose that childlike, thirst for knowledge. So don't just think you're the best teacher in the world just because you are a good teacher. Keep trying to learn new things. Keep trying to remind yourself of different things because you're always going to forget something at some point. So it's always good to go over, see how you can improve, learn from others. Same with your own guitar playing, same with your own business. Just keep learning, studying, growing, and teaching. Because as you teach, you learn as well, don't you? How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think I just wrote down like niche down or niche down, whatever you want to say. Riches are in the niches, they say. But yeah, like niche down. Like it took me forever to figure that one out because I'm like, well, I'll just teach anyone. And I'm like, well, I forgot what the saying is. Like, if you're everything to everyone, you're no one to everyone or something like that. Like, pick your lane and then go all in on that lane. So for me, I've finally realized that, man, I'm pretty good with students. Like, I'm just going to teach beginners how to play guitar. Like, take them from literally, I've never held one on their way. So I've even thinking, so if y'all don't know, like, I use Gumlee's curriculum. It's an excellent curriculum. Highly recommend. I may just focus on levels 1 through 4 and get another guy to teach the advanced stuff because I enjoy the beginner stuff, And so that'd be an example of niching down. So it's an evergreen well for me because there's a lot of students that shuffle through that just want to try it. Parents don't know what they don't know what their kid's thing is, right? They just want them off the video game thing for a while. So try guitar. Well, I'll walk them through that. And we may only get through level 3 or 4 before they go on to the next sport or the next thing, but that's okay. Like, I'll get another student in, So, but that's it. Just niche down. It could be, Lauren Bateman. I think you've interviewed her. Like, I know her niche is the same thing. She's beginners, but she's like way older in demographic. Like, she really does well with that demographic. And so me, I'm in my lane, man. I'm comfortable there. I enjoy it. So just pick your lane and dive deep into that.
Some really, really solid advice there. Richard and Josh, thank you so much for coming on the Top Music Guitar Teaching Podcast. Just quickly, where can we find you guys on social media?
So you can find us, if you just type in Guitar Boss, or just check us out at www.guitarboss.co. I think that's the easiest place.
If you look him up on Facebook, you get the most handsome picture of Richard you'll ever see. Guitar Boss logo in the background.
It's AI. It's not even me.
Mint that one as an NFT.
Perfect.
Boss coin. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. And to the listeners, my Top Music community, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next exciting episode of the Top Music Guitar Teaching Podcast. Have a great 20. We're probably going to actually, I've stopped myself from the foot here. I was going to say have a great 2022. This one will probably come out 2023 as one of the first ones for the new year. But whether you're listening to this end of 2022, start of 2023, go and make 2023 your year. Big, massive things in the works. Check out the Top Music courses. Check out Guitar Boss. Check out Six Figure Guitar Teacher. It's all happening, guys. And the best thing you can do is educate yourself. As Richard said, never be complacent. Never just think you know everything or that you're at the peak. As we talked about 20 minutes ago, when you become complacent, that's when things start to fall apart. So always be hungry. Always have that drive to improve, whether it's your playing or your business. And whether it's Richard and Josh or myself or Tim Topham, we're all here to help out and help you grow and have a massive 2023. So thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out. If you enjoy this show and want to hear more of our work, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, including a free ebook on how to find more guitar students, visit us at www.topmusic.co/guitar or check out the show notes. And lastly, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.